Question 16, which one of the following best represents an ethical but not legal issue that may arise during the software development process? Okay, let's go through them. Using customer data for personal financial gain. That sounds like that'd come under one of the privacy acts, and which would make that a legal issue. So I'm going to, let's read them all first, and then it might be obvious by the end. Incorporating addictive design elements in a children's online learning application. I don't recall that being anywhere in any of the APPs or anything in with. So it's not under the, what are the common acts that we need to remember? Copyright, Privacy Act 1988, the Data and Privacy Act 2014, and the Health Records Act 2011. I hope I got those years right. Those last two apply to Victoria. That Privacy Act is an umbrella over everyone, and the Copyright Act is obviously that applies to everyone. And also probably the Spam Act, might need to remember. I don't think that comes under any of those. And that is definitely something that, if you think about ethics or ethical dilemmas in software development, you think about things that are debatable. So that's a very debatable thing here. That's not really a legal issue. So I'm going to say that's going to probably be this one. But let's read the next ones just to make sure. Definitely between the first two, the second one stands out the most. C, collecting sensitive data during a survey without the participant knowing what the data will be used for. So that's consent. That's okay. That's an easy one to cross off because that's a legal issue under the Privacy Act or Data and Privacy Act. Using code from a similar piece of software without the permission of the original developer. That's clearly copyright. So that's a legal issue as well. And if we're going back to A, using customer data for personal financial gain, that's definitely under one of the acts, privacy acts or the APPs. So it is definitely B. And I know sometimes it can be hard to distinguish between ethical and legal issues, but the legal issues are really black and white. They're really, it's either, they're stealing code or they're stealing things that somebody else owns. You're not allowed to use under the Copyright Act. You're not allowed to use other stuff without their permission, or they're doing something with data that they're not supposed to be doing, like using it for financial gain or using it without the participants knowing, like in C, that they're talking about there. So if you want to read up a bit more on ethical issues, I found a good few pages here starting from 269. 269. It also gives some other examples here, I think, on the next page over. So here, in these dot points, bugs in a program. So that leaving bugs in a program, if you're a developer, is not necessarily illegal, is it? It's not under one of the acts, but you can't. It's an ethical issue, right? Why would you do that? It's a moral thing. It's a moral obligation to, if you're going to release something, that you don't release bugs in the code or in your application. Security flaws in the software, again, debatable. Well, it's not really debatable. It's really a thing that you shouldn't be really doing. But if you're on a timeline and you got managers saying you need to get this thing finished, and they don't care about those things, then whatever. It's not a legal issue, but it's a very contentious ethical issue. Anyway, you can read some more through there. I would suggest doing that, and then also scratching up on your APPs and your 4 or 5 acts that you'll need to remember.